And I'm supposed to care about what happened on a Minnesota high school sports team.
Yeah, you are.
Like, how is this?
Yeah, you
how
are.
is this a national issue?
Wait,
and Piers,
you're a
I say
woman,
this. You may
and
not
you
know
should
this
care.
about.
Progressive host Krystal Ball was a guest on Piers Morgan show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, to go up against a panel that included Brian Shapiro and MAGA right-wing goons Clay Travis and Roger Stone. In this section of the debate, they talked about Piers Morgan and so many on the right's favorite topic, trans athletes. So we're going to take a look at Krystal Ball going up against Piers Morgan and the rest. I'm going to share my thoughts as well. Let's check it out together.
On this issue, the Riley Gaines Simone Biles thing, I was astonished by Simone Biles, the way she talked to Riley Gaines, and also the way she then basically body shamed her, having made a career in the last few years of standing up against body shaming. I thought the whole thing was a real misstep by Simone Biles. But to hear someone like Eric Swalwell, who clearly is positioning himself potentially one day to maybe lead the Democrats, again saying, hey, nobody cares about this and we need an honest conversation. But about what? I mean, the conversation has been had.
Yeah, it's an honest conversation that men should not be playing in women's sports. And I think that's why Representative Swalwell's party and himself, they're lying to the American public. If it's truly not an issue, I love your example. They had hearings on steroids on Capitol Hill because they wanted to make sure that baseball was fair. Anytime, look, I coach Little League sports. I am a parent. I've got 3 boys. We had, when I was 8, 9-year-olds that I was coaching, we had some girls on the team with the boys because pre-puberty, it's not an issue. Guess what? As soon as puberty happens, no women would win any sports. If we had a unisex Olympics, not one woman would win a medal. That's why the sexes are separated. So when you lie to me and say, well, we need to have a conversation, this is not complicated. If I decided that I was trans age, Piers, and I wanted to play Little League Baseball with 10-year-olds, I would be the greatest 10-year-old Little League Baseball player probably in the world, humbly, right now. Every parent would say this is unacceptable because of the purpose of competition. The fact that Democrats have allowed themselves to be on this side, when the majority of Democrat voters, 67% New York Times, 94% of Republicans, 79% overall, when you're on the wrong side of an 80-20 issue, they don't trust you on any other issue. Grocery prices that he kept trying to come back to, whatever else. They just don't buy in. And I have to do this, Pierre. Sorry to say it. I love your show. My show starts in 4 minutes.
You gotta go,
so
Clay.
I'm going to bail.
Really appreciate it.
And Riley's on with me in a half hour.
Brilliant.
I appreciate it. Keep killing it. Sorry to bail.
Take care,
but
Clay.
love you guys.
I really appreciate it. I know you had a hard out. Thank you very much indeed. Let's bring in the other panelists here. I mean, come on, Krystal. Can we at least agree on this, that this is preposterous, that Democrat politicians are still trying to say we've got to have an honest conversation, when what they really want to do is shut down any honest conversation, because the only obvious conclusion of any conversation is it's wrong.
I'm not here to carry water for any particular Democrat, but think about the topics we're covering today, okay? You have the president coming close to declaring an insurrection and calling in the National Guard on American citizens. You have an oligarch who bought the last election accusing the president of being a pedophile. You have the Trump administration having completely upended the economic order with the tariff regime. And I'm supposed to care about what happened on a Minnesota high school sports team.
Yeah, you are.
Like, how is this?
Yeah, you
how
are.
is this a national issue?
Well,
and Piers,
you're a
I say
woman,
this. You may
and
not
you
know
should
this about
care.
me.
Sorry,
no,
hang on.
You may not know this about me. I am a former Division I swimmer.
You should care about you should care about women's rights.
Okay,
because
so
here's what. No, let me explain to you, Krystal. Don't talk over me. Let me explain.
How is this a thing for a president?
Let me explain to you why you should care. Because only last week we had the story of Iman Khalif, who is an Algerian boxer who competed in the Paris Olympics, won the gold medal, had one of the opponents, who was a Italian female boxer, quit after 45 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard in her life. A lot of us, me included, pointed out that Iman Khalif had been banned from the World Championships for reportedly testing positive for male chromosomes, but was not banned from the Olympics, and was then beating up women in a boxing ring and winning the gold medal in a women's competition. Now, last week, we discovered from the leak report that absolutely Iman Khalif has male chromosomes. For all intents and purposes, Iman Khalif is a man. And a man should not be beating up women in a boxing ring in the Olympics. So when you take the view, that none of this matters,
deal with it.
None of it matters.
Here's the thing.
Actually,
You're
it does
missing
matter.
out, though. But Piers, here's what you are letting them off the hook for completely. We were told this is just about protecting kids and we just care. People can be whoever they are and we're not against trans people. This is just about protecting kids. Bullshit. As soon as President Trump got into power and all of these right-wing governors across the country, what do? They attack all trans people. So forgive me if I'm not going to join on the parade.
They didn't attack all trans people. They said trans people shouldn't be in women's sports.
To be in there and trying to live. No, they're trying to ban them from the military. They're trying to take away their rights. They're trying to take away their civil rights. So to bury your head in the sand
not. They're trying
and
to
pretend
protect
like
women.
it's just about this niche issue.
All right, they're trying to
of who can play
protect. It's not a niche issue.
It's nonsense.
And as I've just explained to you, women are now losing out on Olympic gold medals.
And Piers Morgan is absolutely wrong. It is a niche issue. And he's doing the thing that he always does on a show. Anyone from the left who's saying anything that he doesn't like, he talks over them. So Piers Morgan is talking over Krystal Ball as she's actually making excellent points here. One that she said is that she was a Division I swimmer. And anybody who doesn't follow sports closely or you don't live in the United States, Division I is college. So that's the highest level of college in the United States. So she was I guess, I don't know how good she was, but had to have been pretty good to be at the top level in collegiate swimming in the United States. So she should know something about this issue, and she's saying it's a non-issue. Let them deal with that. Let those states deal with that. Let these athletic bodies that oversee these various sports take care of that. But Piers Morgan has a debate about this about once a week. And the lefties and the Democrats are always saying, this is not really that important of an issue. We're dealing with such a tiny number of people. In the state of Ohio, they either passed a law or tried to pass a law based on one trans high school kid. One. In the whole state. Piers Morgan is talking about the Olympics. There were 3 trans athletes in the Paris Olympics. But Piers Morgan and all these other right-wingers act like they care so much about women and women's sports. What I would love to see one of the panelists on Piers Morgan say is, Piers, how much time do you spend watching women's sports and women's athletics? And prior to trans athletes being involved in the last few years, how much time did you spend watching women's sports? They don't really care about women's sports. This is about attacking a tiny marginalized group. So Krystal Ball is exactly right to say this does not really matter and it is not important in the grand scheme of things. Now, that's not to say that we can't be thinking about and discussing all kinds of topics, but the right has way overblown this. And I'm sure when polling is done, people way overestimate the number of trans athletes that there are in the United States. People act as if every high school in the country on every sport has a trans kid who's playing. And that's just not the case.
At the altar of this bullshit. Let me bring Brian in quickly.
How many high school trans athletes are there in the country?
Let me bring Brian in.
How many?
Brian, until
when
the Democrats...
When they passed a law in Utah,
hang on, Krystal, stop talking.
One in the whole state.
Krystal, stop talking. Brian, let me bring you in here. Until the Democrats...
Krystal, I'm talking as Piers Morgan has talked over her for the last several minutes, right? As she's trying to make points.
Democrats sort out this issue. I promise you it's going to be a stick to beat the Democrats with. And whoever leads the party, if they don't have a clear position on this, they're going to discover, exactly as Biden and Harris discovered, that actually it comes back and haunts them. It is a straightforward issue. I'm a liberal guy at heart, right? I'm not a right-winger. I'm not a Republican, not a conservative here in the UK.
Yeah.
But even I can see this is ridiculous, this whole debate. And to say nobody cares is
Piers,
nonsense.
Yeah. So, Piers, I think you and I agree on a lot of social issues. We certainly agree on this one. I think it's pretty clear and cut to me. If you're born a man, transition to a woman, you should not be on the playing field with other women.
Right.
However, I will say this, MAGA Republicans like to make the argument, we care so much about kids and women's rights, yet geography now has a bearing over a woman's body. And they're telling women what to do with their bodies. Last I checked, trans people haven't killed anybody on the playing field. They don't want to talk about gun control. They don't want to talk about real women's rights and more important issues. I agree. Women, you're born a man, transition to a woman. You should not be on the playing field. By the way, most Democrats agree with us.
I agree
on this
they
issue
do,
as well.
yeah.
But it's not. Yeah.
That's why Eric Spall was wrong. Okay, final word to you, Roger.
Boy, there's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome here. Let's take it part by part. There's no evidence whatsoever that Donald Trump urged his supporters to engage in violence.
Roger.
In fact, no. Let me talk this time. No, in fact, the two Twitter posts in which he said that disappeared. Secondarily, the issue here is men playing in women's sports. There is no constituency for that. No place in the country. And as
What's the
for
constituency
this idea
for pardoning
that
J6 copy?
an
Don't
oligarch
change the
is ruining the
constituency for
economy.
that.
The increases in our revenue tariffs are up sharply. The cost of gasoline is down. The cost of eggs is down. Actually, I think Trump's economic plan's working incredibly well.
Okay, on that positive
So
note.
can I just say something real quick to Roger?
Very
Can
quick.
I just say something quick to
Very
Roger?
quick.
So Roger, you just said we have Trump derangement syndrome. You're the guy that's a 7-count convicted felon who Donald Trump pardoned. Okay, so if there's anybody that wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7, it's you. You have TFS Trump fellatio syndrome.
You're right.
So don't
You're
say I
right.
have
When the
Trump
judge doesn't
derangement
allow
syndrome,
you
okay?
to, when the judge doesn't allow you to mount
here we
any
go.
defense, and when the judge withholds exculpatory evidence from
Yeah,
your trial
right.
in
You're
a
innocent,
Soviet-style
Roger.
show trial,
Right.
you go to trial
Right.
in D.C.
Okay, on
And by
that
the way,
less.
lose
You're
the
the
hat.
one with the derangement syndrome.
All right, on that less.
You're the one
less-
with the derangement
on
syndrome.
that less positive
Anytime,
note.
pal. Anytime.
On that less positive note, I'm now
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to call
I
an
care
end
what
to
you
this.
think about
Thank
my
you.
appearance, Roger. I
Thank
really
you
care.
all very much indeed. I appreciate it.
And Roger Stone there with the Trump derangement syndrome. Scott Galloway was on Piers Morgan show recently and got hit with the same thing from Kevin O'Leary. And he had the best response to this that I've heard or seen from anyone. He said, anytime, I'm paraphrasing, but anytime someone starts with the Trump derangement syndrome, that means that they have no substantial argument to make, which is 100% correct. And Brian Shapiro actually brought up there real women's rights, which of course Piers Morgan didn't address that at all. And also we saw there that Piers Morgan, the guy who's a liberal and he's not a right winger and all that, he let Roger Stone speak uninterrupted, but talked over Krystal Ball the entire time that she tried to speak. But let me know what you think about all this. I 100% agree with Krystal Ball that this is a minor issue which should be held regionally. Like she said, let the state of Minnesota, in the case of this most recent incident, let them handle this. Let the Olympics handle the way they want to deal with trans players. Let the colleges, the college systems, the NCAA, let them deal with these athletes the way that they feel is correct. But for these people like Piers Morgan, it's just sensationalism. It's just a way to get clicks. It's just a way to create a group that's an other, to keep people afraid. And like Piers Morgan is saying, oh, this is going to be a big issue in the Olympics. If somebody is voting based on they don't want trans athletes to be playing in sports, you're in a real privileged position. You know, if most people are worrying about, hey, if I get sick, am I going to go bankrupt? Am I going to be able to retire? Am I going to be able to pay for my kids to go to college, et cetera, et cetera? If trans athletes are your number one concern, you're in a really, really good position, in my opinion. Of course, Piers Morgan is somebody who can be in that position. He doesn't have to worry if he gets sick. He doesn't have to worry about how he's going to pay for his kids to go to college. But most people around the United States are concerned about those issues. And like I say, I completely agree with Krystal Ball, but who do you agree with here? Do you agree with Krystal Ball, or do you agree with the MAGA right-wingers like Piers Morgan and Roger Stone that their hair is constantly on fire over this issue? Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.